Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my going partner, Anthony. This is a judo podcast for judo players by two judo players. So, Anthony, how you doing?
Wasn't very good, but now that I see your hat, I think I'm fine.
I'm very festive today. You can see I don't wear
grumps.
It does, because one of my nicknames growing up was I was grumpy. I'm not grumpy. I'm just serious. All right.
Does it say grumpy or does it say grump? Oh, it does say grumpy. Okay.
So I saw you got some more toys for your house this week, or was it last week you got all those weights in finally?
Yeah, I haven't had time. I'm actually going to go put it together after this. I said I was going to put it together the last few weeks, but the days have been getting shorter. So by the time I finish all my work and everything, I go outside and it's all dark and I'm like, I don't want to put it together anymore. So
well, it's funny.
We record this. I'm going to go put it together, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I saw those weights, I was like, man, I feel bad for that UPS driver or FedEx or it is. It's like, so how did they deliver it? How did you deliver 40-pound weights?
So when you order that stuff, there's an option called a freight carrier for shipping, and it was cheaper. So they actually sent a pallet. So this huge is not an 18-wheeler. It's like a little smaller than an 18-wheeler. Came in my neighborhood, and this one guy with like those forklifts kind of loaded the whole pallet off and just put the pallet on my driveway, essentially. So now I have a wooden pallet that I don't know how to get rid of, like where I'm going to take it to.
Dude, there's tons of places to go recycle that. You'll make like $25 for it, I think. Just take it to recycling places.
I have to take it somewhere. I don't want to.
Well, you could just put it in your car, drive it to Mitsuwa or Marakai and leave it in the back.
I don't even know if it will fit in my car. But anyway.
Put on your back, run over there.
They delivered it in a pallet. So it was pretty convenient. But the thing is, the truck took down a couple of my neighbor's cable lines.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So she came out screaming like, what happened to my television? Like, yeah. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, but then the truck driver
I'm sorry.
The truck driver was like, yeah, these power lines and cable lines you have in your neighborhood is not up to code. Like, it's too low. It's supposed to be above a certain height, but it was too low. So the truck like hit it and snagged it. So yeah, the next day the cable guys van came and they fixed it. So
you should record that. Would be an epic fail right there. That's hilarious. That's like the worst thing that happened. If your neighbors already hate you already, like, I don't know if they don't like you or not. They probably like you're a nice guy and stuff.
That neighbor
really the worst thing.
Doesn't like me, I'm pretty sure. When I first moved in, I was like waving at them like, hey, and they just turned their back on me and walked away. I'm like, okay. But the rest of the neighbors like me, so that's fine. But it seems like the neighborhood just doesn't like that family in general. So
okay, every place got that one family no one likes. So it's kind of awkward.
They're the ones who like shoot fireworks and stuff and all year round.
Have late night parties at 2 a.m. still.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't listen to this podcast.
Hopefully they don't train judo. Now they're going to show up to the dojo
and challenge us. Hey, open challenge. We're always ready, man. We're always open. Come on, bring it.
We're talking about challenge matches later, right?
Yeah, we are going to talk about some open challenges later. So one big thing that happened this week or last week already now was the Japanese national team had a match to see who are they going to send to the Tokyo Olympics next year. So they had the current world champion versus the former two-time world champion. Anthony, take it from there.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone already heard about it. Even people who don't train judo, I've heard them talk about this match, like Maruyama versus Abe, who's going to take the Olympic spot. We don't want to go into too much detail or background about it, do we? Because it's everywhere on the internet and everyone's talking about it. Travis Stevens had a breakdown. A bunch of other podcasters who are like national athletes and top level competitors have already broken down the fight. And I personally avoided watching any of those videos until we record this episode.
Recorded our video.
Yeah, so I don't get biased and be like, oh yeah, I didn't see that before Travis like pointed it out or something. Well, so
there's a lot of interesting things that I noticed because like you said you watched it like 2 or 3 times. I watched it once for myself and then once I really dissected it, watched it. And it's a crazy match because, okay, so they start off the match. It's a normal judo match, 4 minutes standard rules match. Okay. The only thing that happened in the first 4 minutes is one Shido, only one. Yeah. Maruyama got one Shido for his passivity. And because his style of judo, in my opinion, is that he's always looking for that beautiful throw. He's always looking for that really clean technique to going for what he wants.
Which
going
he
for
never got off of Abe.
No, because Abe is a different style fighter. I like Abe's style. The reason I like Abe. Oh, yeah. So again, if you guys didn't listen, Anthony owes me a 6-pack of beer because I picked Abe in that fight. So Merry Christmas to me.
Yeah.
But like I always say, Abe goes out there. He has great techniques and stuff, but he goes out there looking for stuff and he goes for what he sees. He's not going for just one singular technique or two singular techniques. He's looking for what he can see and going for what's there. And that's what I like about him. He's a fighter.
I like what other people said already was like Abe likes to create opportunities versus wait for one.
Yep. Yep.
And he's very explosive, very, very explosive. And you can see this in the Shidos that were given or should have been given is that Maruyama always waits silently for the right moment to explode in. Yeah. And that nets him a lot of Shidos for passivity all the time in the past matchups. But backing up a little bit, did you watch it yourself 3 times or did you watch it with other people? Or
I watched it by myself. Like I ain't got no one else to watch it with.
So I initially watched it with a bunch of my friends that don't train judo.
Okay.
So 2 of them, I actually over the past 6 months, I've been trying to get them to watch martial arts fights and like MMA and watching IJF tournaments with them and explaining the rules and it kind of got them hooked, right? So they understand the rules. And in the past 6 months, after they watched this, they were like, "Wow, this is some really high level grip fighting going on." And like I can see like the style. It's really interesting, even though nothing's really happening in a sense, nothing's really happening. They can kind of see the intricacies. And then the rest of my friends, like 4 or 5 of them, they were like, how do you win? Like, what are they doing? I thought judo would be more dynamic or more action oriented. And
it was action. They're moving the entire time trying to throw each other.
So I guess they don't understand the grip fighting is what really captivated most of us that understood what was happening. And then after I watched that, like, couple of days ago, some of my old friends from my old dojo in Austin and Kokoro, they're like, "Hey, you want to get together and rewatch the match together? We watched it already, but we want to like look at the grip fighting." So everyone already knows the grip fighting was like next level, right?
Yeah.
So this morning before this podcast, I actually just rewatched it with them and we learned a lot. Like one thing we noticed was Abe got the double sleeve grip many times, but didn't really actually throw that often off of it, even though it was one of his favorite grips. And I noticed that whenever he got it, he just kind of does a drop sore surikomigoshi or drop some sort of drop throw with that grip because I think he knows that's his favorite throw, so that Maruyama might have like seen it and counter off of it. So dropping is relatively more safe. Yeah. And watching them like fish for that grip, that sleeve grip after establishing the collar side and the shoulder grip is like super interesting. And their movement too, like the how they move into these spaces off of these like ridiculous grips is just outstanding. Like if I had those grips, I wouldn't be able to exploit those holes that you see, right? Even if I notice it, I don't think my body can move that fast. So
it's that twitch strength, just that moving real quick and just jump into stuff, pop into there. But yeah, so they had the first 4 minutes. The only thing that happens is Maruyama gets one Shido for passivity. So they go into overtime. Well, in judo, we call golden score. And how long was golden score exactly?
Golden score was 20 minutes.
Golden score is 20 minutes. 20 minutes of golden score.
The 4-minute regulation was a 24-minute match.
They fought straight for 24 minutes straight. Okay.
Well, there was a break.
No breaks in between because there was some penalty time because Abe messed up his finger. Okay. He had to go get taped up. Then the tape fell off. It flew off. If you actually see it flies off at one point.
You see the ref picking it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Then he had to get it retaped again. There was that, but it's majority of the time, like there wasn't no 1 minute breaks or nothing like every 5 minutes, like in MMA or anything else. It was just straight 24 minutes of fighting. That was crazy to me. But in the end, so at about, about 11:57 of the golden score, was it Abe got to, is it Maruyama or Abe? I can't remember which one of them get the Shido. It was Abe. Abe gets a Shido for false attacks, and that's what his two. Yeah. His two Shidos are false attacks.
He did so many false attacks.
And he got. Well, that's another thing I want to talk about in a little bit when I go with this. That so he gets 2 Shidos for false attacks. Maruyama gets 2 Shidos for flopping down for passivity and stuff. So they're at 2 and 2. And in my head, I'm thinking, that's done. There ain't no more Shidos in the match. There's no way they're going to let a Shido decide who goes to the Olympics. Okay.
It's funny you say that because I think everyone knew it wasn't going to end that way. Going in. So including the athletes themselves, which is why you see all this stuff they were doing. Right.
Yeah.
And we notice, like me and my friends noticed when the Shido should have happened, but none of us was keeping track of the Shidos.
Well,
we weren't even paying attention to it.
There was one really blatant part where, Abe did it 3 times and someone brought up the blatancy one of it, but there was 2 other times where he did it, but a lot of people didn't notice it because he hit it judo style.
Yeah.
He kept on grabbing the skirt. There's one point.
I don't think he was hiding it.
Oh no, that's the thing. No, there's one point where he was like blatantly, Mate, and he's still holding on to his skirt, just walking with them, holding the skirt stem like,
He was grabbing the wrist. He was grabbing the fingers. He was putting his whole finger, all his fingers in the sleeve and dragging it down, just holding onto it. Usually in IJF tournaments, when you do this stuff, it's like for a second or a half, or you kind of like hide it from the ref. But no, like he was blatantly dragging him down with both fingers inside his sleeves. Like
my thing with the skirt grabbing is that in the first 4 minutes in the main match, like he would do that over grip where he would go over to grab the belt, and he would do the whole thing. He would go grab the skirt and bring it up to the belt. So you got that big amount of fabric he's grabbing right there.
Yep.
And he did that at least twice. I noticed that besides grabbing the skirt with this one hand, I was like, oh man, like, they're not going to Shido him. They're not going to be like, all right, here's 3 Shidos. You're going to Olympics.
I told you I watched it with multiple groups of people already. And the common thing that was asked was how they were grabbing the head, like touching the head, kind of like in wrestling and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Like, I think he was trying to gauge a reaction or get a sense of distance, but I don't think that actually does anything, or you're practically giving up your sleeve grip at that point.
Yeah, because in judo, if you put your hand out like that, you're just giving them ippo sonagi or any kind of throw from right there. I didn't know. It's funny you brought that up because I didn't notice it the first time I watched. The second time I watched, I was actually really dissecting, looking at stuff. I noticed that and I was like, that's kind of like wrestling right there. It's just like poking him in the head or something for a little bit.
2 people asked me about that. One
but that's really uncommon because it's uncommon in judo because if you, like I said, you put your arm like that, you're just giving them ippon sonagi. So that was weird. But in the end, Abe won. He started off, he did a ochigari, started off in the ring, pushed him all the way out, finished it outside the ring, ippon win. Now I know a lot of people are mad about that because they said, oh, well, Maruyama was bridging
it was Ari, but
it was Ari, whatever. What else Ari? It's all done anyways. Matt was done. To me, it looked like ippon because my thing was that from when it goes from and I even rewatched the rules after I saw this again. If he bridged like he did to try to escape the move, I know you say he was attempting to throw.
I think he was attempting to counter personally.
Yeah, you think he was attempting to counter. To me, it looked like he was just trying to bridge out of it, just out of habit. It's like, shit, I'm going down.
That was my first impression when I first saw it. Was he bridged, so he would have lost anyway. Was what I thought. But there was one thing that caused me to go back and look at it was it's funny because they did a slow-mo replay of all the other previous attempts, but that last scoring technique, they didn't go back and do a replay. They just went straight to them crying and into the interview room.
I think they're just tired of the match. Like, it's already 24 minutes, guys. All right.
Yeah. So I had to go back and watch it. Once I went back and watched it in slow motion, I was like, oh, it looked like he was trying to counter midair. So that's where the bridge came from.
Well, maybe because it looked like in the slow motion, you like, oh, his hips moved a little bit. It looks like you're trying to attempt something, but in the actual time, and they even went to the camera. They even went to watch it. They put up like, okay, they're going to watch it again, look at it. But going back to the thing that if he did bridge, that's my thing. If he was bridging, if he didn't bridge, he would have landed flat on his back. So it would have been ippon anyways.
So
and IJF rules. What?
Yeah, the IJF rules, correct me if I'm wrong. It has to be clear that your intention of bridging is to get out of a throw, but
is to avoid the throw.
Yeah, but if it looked like he might be countering, then even if he actually bridged, then
that's the thing. To you, like, okay, we have 2 referees right here. To you, it looked like he was attacking. To me, it looked like he was avoiding the attack and not trying to go on his back. So for me, it would have been ippon anyways.
Yeah.
For you,
I don't envy the jobs of those refs given all these constraints.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, So
one thing I do want to note is
yeah.
we always talk about how statistically people who wear blue gis win more often.
Oh my God.
Abe was wearing a blue gi.
He was wearing the blue gi.
Yeah.
Statistically, you're like, oh my God, a blue gi is different. I don't believe that shit, but some people do. It's like a mathematical thing that's been proven that people that wear the blue gis win more than people who wear white gis because you're shocked into seeing the different colors. Is that what they said it was?
No,
or you're not used to it?
I don't trust any of that stuff. I think it's just chance. Probably has something to do with the seating too, like in the brackets. Usually, like how they decide who wears a blue gi, white gi. But yeah, next time I lose in a tournament, I'll just blame on the gi color.
I was wearing a white gi, guys. If I had my blue on, if I had my blue on, I would have killed everybody here. I would have won everything.
So what do you feel about the match overall, though? Like as for deciding the Olympic spot?
God, I feel
controversial.
I feel so bad for Maruyama because wasn't he supposed to go to this Olympics? Because he's a current world champion. Here's my thing. He is the 2019 technically current world champion right now. And that is crazy to think that the current world champion is not going to the Olympics. So my thing was that I thought he was going to go, but because of the extension and because of points being changed and stuff, that's where I'm like, okay, well, we have the 1 and 2 seeds right here. Let's have them go at it and let's see who fights. But I do know that usually whoever wins, what is it? The Japan National, what's the tournament called?
Japan.
Yeah. Whoever wins All Japan.
Club. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever wins that gets to go. So there's a lot of like little things about who's best, but it's just crazy to think that the current world champion is not going to the Olympics.
But Abe has the better record. Like
Abe is also a 2-time world champion.
Yeah,
you know?
and he has all the more medals on the international stage. And Maruyama was out from injury, so that's why his record isn't as long. Yeah, so who knows what would have happened? But
COVID's fucking up everything, man. COVID's messing up everyone.
Yeah. So I feel like this match kind of goes to show how restrictive IJF judo is. The rules. Okay. And if you remove some of those restrictions, not even remove, but relax some of those restrictions like they did for this match, you get a spectacular judo match. And
yeah.
I mean,
well, for us as judo players watching
spectacular, but
it was a crazy match to watch. Like, holy shit, they're doing this. Like, keeps on attacking that. Oh, that was really close. Oh, he really floated out of there. That's cool. To other people, they're just like, they don't look like they're going in all the way. Oh, he doesn't look like he's trying. They're just moving back and forth.
On one hand, I think like, oh man, this is awesome that we got to watch this. On the other hand, it kind of justifies what the IGF is doing because they want to make it more accessible to action-based to casual people. So I think there needs to be 2 sets of rule sets. People always
sets.
Yeah, people have always been. I mean, there's other rule sets out there, but then people always end up training the IGF rule sets, right? But
well, you have to train to what you're going to fight in. That's the whole thing.
Well, most of us don't even compete, and so most judokas don't compete.
I don't know. Most of the people at our dojo compete. Well, used to. We're all getting older.
Yeah, but I'm talking about general percentage wise. Only something like 12%, 10% of people compete. And how many of that actually get into the international, like even national level, not local level. So,
well, it comes to the thing is like, are you going to, there's a sensei a long time ago, it's a guy does that coaching clinic I was at, and he straight up said, I don't teach my students the IGF rules. But when he said that, and I'm like, so you don't teach your students the IGF rules, but you're bringing them to winter nationals, they're going to get destroyed. They're not going to know the rules. They're going to get shidoed out. They're going to lose everything. So I felt really bad for students. And I don't know, I remember how his students did anyways, but when I hear them, just like, you're setting them up for failure. Because the whole goal, like in traditional judo, is to compete. Yeah. And that's one of my things is that I always like my students, or I encourage people to compete, you know?
I don't know if I agree with that. The whole goal of traditional judo is to compete. I think Kano kind of has something to say about that. So
yeah, I'll have a talk with him. Actually, the whole goal in judo is to be gentle and to be able to walk off the mat.
It's a self-improvement.
Self-improvement, yes. Mutual benefit.
But yeah, I think another thing that it showcases is the rules itself, adding all those rules with Shidos and stuff, makes it like a lot of people try to game those rules. Like you'll see people fishing for Shidos on the edge all the time and like baiting them with certain grips to try and get them to false attack. Like, but when you don't have those rules, then you see a lot less. Like, how many times did you see them fight at the edge? They
all the time.
They get pushed to the edge for this match, right?
Yeah.
But very few. It didn't really happen so often where they actually try and fight their opponent at the edge to bait Ishida or limit their movement. Because they know that's not going to happen, right?
Well, after they both got Shidos, they're like, oh, well, they ain't going to give us a third one. They're going to make like, Abe won by a third Shido, so he's going to the Olympics. They're not going to have that. They're not going to put that in the papers.
Movements that we saw were so much more interesting than on the international stage. What you see a lot of players do is that they try and like corner their opponent into a corner or at the edge of the mat to limit their attacks and also invalidate some of their attacks, because if the attack starts off the square, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So
well, it's supposed to not count.
There's all these. I'm just so excited about the aftermath of this match that has nothing to do with who gets to go to Olympics. So
you just really enjoyed watching this match.
I really enjoyed the match. It's a great judo match. It's a terrible IJF match and a terrible way to decide who gets to go to the Olympics, in my opinion. It should, if it's going to be done this way, it should at least be the best out of three. Like, people are so surprised.
Everyone kept on saying that it should have been best out of three. So many people said that best out of three. And I was like, I don't know. If it was a normal tournament, it's one and done. Okay.
I guess maybe repechage. You wouldn't come in fresh like that.
Well, you want to go run a mile first and then come fight each other?
Well, that's the thing. Like, that people are like, oh my gosh, they fought for 24 minutes. I'm like, well, I'm not taking anything away from their training than their cardio level, but they're coming in fresh. When most people skip all the preliminary rounds when they watch judo, they only watch the final block, right?
Yeah, yeah.
By the time of the final block, most of these people have fought between 3 to 7 matches already, and probably have some sort of like aches or injury going in, right? So, yeah, this is not the kind of match you'd want to see for if you want to determine who goes to the Olympics. I think it has to be best out of three. If you're going to do it with these rules,
if it was a best out of three and they went 24 minutes 3 times or 20 minutes,
so you're gonna see their actual gas tank at that point, right?
So what would you do? How long would the break be between the match? A 1 minute break, a 5 minute break,
however much IJF gives their athletes breaks for. You don't fight one match a day. It's not sumo.
It's sumo, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but it was a crazy match. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed it. Showed 2 really high level athletes going at it. Very emotional at the end. I had a tear coming down my eye. I was like, I'm not crying.
I didn't want to watch the interview afterwards because I knew it was going to be
God,
tough pill to swallow. No matter who won, I would have been upset, but
it's just crazy. All right, so that was the Abe match. He's going to the Olympics. He's representing Japan in his weight class. All right, it's going to be an amazing time. It's 2-time world champion already. But yeah, so that was amazing. So last time we talked about how Kayla Harris cut down to fight. She cut down to 145 to fight at the Invictus, whatever that damn federation is called.
Invicta FC, yep.
Yeah, Invicta FC. That's which one it was. How she fought there and how I thought it was going to open up doors so she might be able to go to Bellator and fight Cyborg perhaps, or she might go to UFC and fight Nunes, or just they build a division around her.
Did we say that Cyborg retired last?
I don't remember saying that.
I don't remember saying that. In the comments,
I don't remember you saying that. I know. I didn't want to bring it up, but yeah, someone says that we said. I think maybe you mentioned that she was possibly retiring. I don't remember me saying it, but so I don't remember any of us saying that she retired. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, I apologize if we did make that
if we did,
but
our bad. Okay. Yep. But so she was supposed to fight this week, apparently. She was supposed to fight on the Thursday show for Titan FC, and it was a rematch against Cotton. Now, this is a woman that she fought already in the PFL tournament, and she beat her back. Was it PFL 6? I think it was, yeah, PFL 6. Kayla Harris beat her in the 3rd round, TKO to strikes, and it's going to be a rematch at 155. So Kayla Harris is going back up to lightweight. Well, the day of weigh-in, something happened, and Cotton just couldn't cut down. When they weighed her in, I don't know if it was a pre-weigh-in or just something that her and her coaches did, she weighed in at 180. And she said she was feeling sick. She couldn't do it. She felt bad. They took her to the emergency room. The doctor said, no go. She cannot cut any more weight. She's done. Her body is going to shut down. She can't do it, which happens to a lot of fighters when you have a bad weight cut, which makes you think, I don't know when she got told that she was in a fight, if they gave her like a month's notice, 2 months notice, or what. But that's a big difference from 155 to 180. That's 25 pounds right there. And I don't know how much she cut already. So if she was at 190, 200, I don't know. I don't know what she cuts down to, but that's a lot of weight to cut anyways. Mm-hmm. And Kayla she was a badass. She said, well, how about if I weigh in, if we do a catch weight and I weigh in at 165, okay, we'll still fight. The commission said, no go. She can't cut any more weight. She can't fight. We're not make you fight her at this weight. Just too big of a weight.
Well, if she had to go to the hospital already, I doubt.
Yeah. So after she's going to the hospital, like, they ain't gonna let her fight. We're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, let her fight. All right.
IV drip, like
come with the bag into the fight. They're wheeling her out in a gurney, weighing in at 180 pounds.
Yeah. So I think it was a good call overall. Stuff like that can be dangerous. So.
Oh yeah. Crazy weight cuts are always dangerous for people. You know, I just can't imagine being above 180, trying to cut down to 155 and just like, you're going to crap. Yep. You're going to cut 25 pounds in 24 hours. That's impossible. What do you do? Cut off a leg? What do you do?
When I was younger, I'd lose 20 pounds whenever I travel just because.
Yeah. But you're young. You're a kid. Yeah. Kids burn off shit like no problem. Okay.
Yeah, when I don't go to the gym and I don't have enough meat to eat, I just like shed pounds like crazy.
Well, it's funny because I heard that a doctor friend of mine told me that Asians lose muscle mass a lot faster than Caucasians do. So for Asians, it's tougher to keep muscle mass on because I don't know, your body just burn it off quickly, which sucks.
I definitely have trouble with that. So
because I remember like there's a Japanese fighter I used to love, Kawajiri, the Crusher. That he said that it took him forever to try to figure out a proper balance of like how not to, because he's a big muscular guy, how to not lose that muscle mass while trying to cut down in weight.
Yep. And
I know he had a big problem with that when he fought in the UFC in America because he was fighting at, I think, 145, where in Japan he was fighting at 155. But that's a big crazy. That's another thing for another day. Yeah. But that was crazy. Like, she was willing to fight. It's sad that it got canceled, but hey, shit happens. Rather be safe than sorry. All right. Now, another interesting thing that's happening this weekend is that there's a Submission Underground fight happening. And normally I wouldn't talk about Submission Underground because they have jiu-jitsu guys on there, some catch people on there, but it's mostly a bunch of MMA guys just having having submission matches there. But the interesting thing today is not today. Well, actually it is today, isn't it? It is happening tonight. Yeah.
Tonight. You said tonight. Yep.
So tonight on Submission Underground for their open weight championship, what do they call them, BJJ? They call it the
Submission.
No. What's their open weight called?
Oh, absolute.
Absolute. That's what it is. In their absolute division, they're going to have Ishii versus what's his name? Mason Fowler. So this is going to be a Submission Underground match for their absolute champion. Now, why is the absolute champion? Because Ishii walks around, I think, at 240, 245. He fights at heavyweight most of the time. He sometimes fights at light heavyweight. I'm not sure where he's going to fight at here. But Fowler usually fights at about 170. So this is going to be a really big difference in weight class. Like he's a big 170 guy. Like when I watch him fight, when I watched him do his jiu-jitsu match before, I'm like, I thought he was like an 85 or something. But then I looked at his weight class, like, oh no, he's about 170. Probably walks a little heavy, a little light, whatever. But he's the absolute champion. You know, he's defended that title twice, I believe now. So they're bringing Ishii, which is a judo Olympic gold medalist. And interesting to me,
where are they going to fight?
I think they're fighting in Chael's backyard. He set up a ring back there, and I'm joking. It's probably somewhere in Portland, I think. They're not doing it in Vegas. They're doing it over in Portland, because that's where Chael most like during the lockdown. Chael Sonny, the guy that runs it and owns it, the Submission Underground, he's been having the events in Oregon. So I'm assuming it's Portland. But the thing that makes it interesting for just judo players is that, you know, a lot of judo guys don't do these matches. They don't do open submission matches or open grappling matches. Mm-hmm. And one of the main reasons is that they're mostly catered to BJJ guys. They're not catered for catch wrestling, wrestlers, and judo players. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about this before, where I would love to do more open challenges. But if they change the rules so it's more open to all grappling systems and not just BJJ. The way Submission Underground works is that before, when I watched it, they would have an 8-minute round. But then I watched some more recent stuff, and what they were doing, I don't know if they're going to do this for the Ishii match. They might do it, they might not. They had a 4-minute round. If no one wins in the 4 minutes, Then they go into what they call their overtime or sudden death. Or I don't know how they're calling it. But okay, so one guy sits in the other guy's, I don't know what you'd call like he's taking his back. And I guess
this is what 10th Planet on it Invitationals does is you pick a position.
Yeah,
over
so
time
they flip
you pick
a coin,
position, and then they time how long it takes you to get out of the submission or to submit someone, and then you switch, and then the other guy does the same thing. Like they're doing that.
Yeah, so the video that I watched this last one. So he's sitting he's taking the guy's back. They're sitting down. He has him what I used to call over under, which we used to call in wrestling. I know in jiu-jitsu now they call it the seatbelt lock, the seatbelt grip. I said to a guy, I was like, "Why is it called seatbelt?" Oh, it looks like seatbelt. I was like, "Why don't you just call it over under?" Like that's what I grew up calling it. And it's like, guy looked at me, was like, that makes a little bit of sense. I don't know why you gotta be fancy names.
It's cool. Why it's
seatbelt sounds so much cooler, doesn't it?
Okay, boomer.
oh, you're hurting me. You cut me deep. You cut me deep there. Oh, I'm sorry I'm not on TikTok with you, all right? So what I saw last one was that they sit in the position, they hold the guy, and you had 2 minutes to either escape or submit the guy. And you keep going back and forth until someone wins.
Yep.
And I don't know if they're going to do that with Ishii and Fowler this time, but that'll be interesting if you do that also. I don't know. Now, go back to the whole thing about challenge matches and why you don't see judo players do a whole lot of these challenge matches or open tournaments, these open jiu-jitsu tournaments, is that they're mostly jiu-jitsu rules. Mm-hmm. And our best athletes, they're Olympians. They're trying to go to the Olympics. We have something to go for already. We don't have to do these smaller Polaris or Submission Underground or what's Sakuraba's one called again? Quintet or any of these other ones that are happening because we have the Olympics. That's our goal, is already to get to there. Our goals are to become national champions or open champions for like US Open or whatever. If you can get to Tokyo or something, that'd be great. But that's the goal. And I think that's why people are so geared to that's why they don't do a lot of these other jiu-jitsu ones. The other thing,
Kodokan has a history of being against challenge matches. Like, what's the guy? I forgot his name. The guy who invented Yamadashi. I'll look it up later. But the guy who invented Yamadashi, like he got kicked out of the Kodokan for fighting. Well, it wasn't challenge matches, but he was like causing trouble and fighting people in the streets and stuff.
Judo, just grabbing people and throwing them. The
story goes was he like got in a bar fight with a bunch of sumo wrestlers. He kicked their asses, and Kano like kicked him out, I think. And then it wasn't until he passed away that Kano like posthumously awarded him a 6th dan and kind of immortalized his technique, the Yamadashi, by adding it into the syllabus. Even though nobody knows really how to do it properly. But
hey, we did a whole class trying to figure out how to do that correctly, all right? And I think I nailed it. I figured out.
You almost dislocated my shoulder, dude.
Yeah, it worked, didn't it? It threw you.
Yeah. So, and then there's also Kimura, right? Like everyone knows Kimura. Like he was like doing challenge matches and stuff, and that was looked down upon.
So I got kicked out of it. So I got kicked out and sent to North America.
Now the IJF doesn't allow their national ranked athletes to compete in other tournaments, and they kind of hint that it's traced back to the roots of the Kodokan not allowing challenge matches, but we all know the real reason, right? So,
well, okay, this is my opinion. When that was funny. When that shit happened, when the IGF sent that email out to everyone, which they shouldn't have. They should have sent it to everybody, but they sent the email out, and it was like, okay, the IGF is now mandating or whatever you want to call it, saying that we cannot do outside matches or outside styles besides judo. And the reason for that is that what they meant to say is that if you're a national competitor and part of your national team, you are not allowed to go do tournaments or other grappling styles outside of judo. The reason why is because your country is putting so much money, and this is my opinion, putting so much money into you. All right. Your country's putting so much money into you, putting so much support that they're expecting you to go compete at IGF tournaments, open tournaments, Grand Prix, and the Olympics. Now say I'm one of the top players in the world. I'm top 5, whatever. And I decide to go do a catch wrestling match or a BJJ match or what was that Eastern European wrestling that someone got in trouble for? Do you remember?
Man. Can't remember the name. So
it wasn't Turkish oil wrestling.
I thought it was Kajat or something.
Something like that.
Karash?
Something. Yeah. Karash. Might have been that one. But they don't want you going to these tournaments.
Yeah, it's Karash.
Yeah, doing Karash, getting hurt. And now all that money that your country and your sponsors that paid for you to do this stuff goes down the drain. They spent all this money.
That's the hilarious thing. Because first of all, Karash, like, it's a traditional folk style belt wrestling, right? But they modified it with gis and the belts to basically it's essentially judo without the ground without newaza. Like they just gave Ippon a different name, a Wazario a different name, and it's the same thing. And the funny thing is Nick Popolo, I think, wanted to fight in something and asked IJF for permission, and they said no. And the whole your country giving you so much money and support thing does not apply to any.
It doesn't. I'm surprised. I'm sorry, everybody. It doesn't work for America, really, right? But if you're a Japanese player, if you're a French player, if you're a Russian player, you're getting support from your country. All right, they're supporting you. They're paying for your stuff. And that's the point where I come from, like where some of these other countries are paying for these things. But yeah, if you're from America, you're not getting a lot of American money helping you out, supporting you. All right. You'll probably make more money going to a BJJ tournament and winning and doing well there.
That's the thing. Like I think the athletes are trying to compete in these things to raise money for their own judo
for their judo.
But they're like, no, you can't do that. You got to go wash dishes or something instead. You know, like,
go work a bar. All right. Go serve some drinks
or go be a bouncer. Like,
well, the main thing that I read one time is just they said anything. It's just like, go teach clinics, do clinics, teach clinics, do seminars, do all that kind of stuff. And it's like, am I supposed to go to every state and just do a clinic to try to make money? Really?
Yeah,
I guess.
People also don't pay much for it. So
no, not for a judo clinic. So
nowadays. The name of the guy was Saigo Shiro. So for Yamadashi. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so that's kind of like one of the major things. When I remember when people read that, like I had white belts from our school that were also BJJ guys are like, Sensei Juan, I read this article today saying that we can't do other sports. Am I not supposed to do BJJ now? It's like, it doesn't apply to you. I'm sorry. You're not a national player. You're not a US team or any other team. It doesn't apply to you. I appreciate you wondering, but I'm sorry. It doesn't apply to you.
But it's funny that they say they're against that, because part of the way that judo, even though the Kodokan was against prize fighting, what they call prize fighting, the way that it spread all over the world was mostly through challenge matches, kind of like what the Gracies were doing, right? You'll hear and see plenty of old historical documents and pictures and videos and stuff where people who were sent out by the Kodokan to spread judo would take up challenges. They would fight the local wrestling champion or local boxing champion, or whatever grappling style was from their country, that they would do it. Like even like that's kind of a closer story to me, but at Hollywood Judo, we had my first sensei was Sensei Frank Emi. And if you're in the Southern California or know things about the Japanese internment camps, you know how he went there with his family. He fought against them. He didn't like being in a internment camp. And when they tried to force him into the army, he was like, no, you put me and my family in an internment camp. I'm not fighting this war for you. I'm not helping you guys out. And because of that, he got support. And because of him getting support, they put him in jail. While he was in jail, he had to use judo to defend himself. And I know there was actually an episode of Drunk History that they talked about this, but I was like, they left out the best part. Judo. They never mentioned judo.
They never mentioned judo. And I really hate, they got this, I don't even mean, but the actor they played him was this chubby guy, this like out of shape chubby guy. It's like Sensei Emi was never chubby. He was never out of shape. He was in great shape. He would have been a national, if the national champions had been around at that time, he would have been a national champion at that time. He was never out of shape, in great shape. He was 90 years old and still on the mat with us teaching us judo techniques. Okay. When he passed away, never out of shape. And that's something that pissed me off, but they didn't talk about his judo at all on Drunk History. It's really close to me because I was actually Paul Bear at his funeral. I was one of his last students. So this is what it gets to me. But going back to the jail thing, when he was in jail, he got threatened. People try like, hey, you Japanese, I'm not going to say the words that they call themselves because it pisses me off, but they'll call him names, do stuff to him. And he got challenged. And he fought a boxer while in jail. He fought wrestlers while in jail. And guess what? Using judo, he beat them up. And he always said, yeah, after we did our demonstration with them, they treat us very nicely after that. They treat us very well. So,
Yeah. So I think that's something we can actually learn. And because a lot of people would think judo is above the way that some of these other martial arts spread was challenge matches and prize fighting. But I think we do have a history of spreading judo in that way, and we should leverage it. Even if that wasn't true, then times have changed, and we just have to adapt. So
I would think that it would be great to have challenge matches and stuff. Not challenge matches, like just to do like we do at Paul Harris or what they do here at Submission Underground, where you have more a judo guy versus a jiu-jitsu guy. But we had to open the rules so they're not just Brazilian jiu-jitsu rules or when it's an open grappling match, it needs to be an open grappling match. And one of my main things is growing up as a wrestler and talking with other wrestlers and talking with other catch wrestling guys and judo guys is that one of our major things in our style is pins. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying we have to like a regular freestyle folk style match where it's a 1 second pin, shoulder touch a match pin, or even a catch wrestling where it's a 2 second pin. We can do a judo style 10-second controlled pin, or even a judo style 20-second controlled pin. Okay. Where if I hold a guy down for 20 seconds and he can't get up, I'm sorry, but I won the match. I've controlled the guy for 20 seconds.
I totally agree. I think something similar to what BJJ has, but changing the rules to include winning by pin would basically change the whole game, because a lot of people fight off of their backs and they pull guard and all that crap. Like if you allow a pin to win, then a lot of that will change. I also think they should score
people to work.
Yeah, they should score ippons, like not just like single leg dragging someone down to their back kind of thing. But if you throw someone hard enough, like an ippon level throw, it shouldn't be worth 2 points. It should be worth like at least 4, I think. So
4 or 5, like in freestyle.
Yeah, it shouldn't be,
or like Greco. I mean,
yeah, it shouldn't be an instant win, because then it'll just be judo, right? So I think taking the BJJ rule sets, allowing pins to win, and then increasing the points you earn from a ippon level throw. Maybe a Wazari will stay at 2 points, but increasing that'll be an interesting rule set. And we talked about in our one of our previous episodes about like different rule sets in judo, like the Kosen rule sets that we had. I think having tournaments that have like all these different rule sets that you can fight in is fun and something different. And well, first of all, they have to run tournaments better first, but that's the it's fun. And also having like a no-gi division would be interesting, I think.
I would love to do that. I would love to have like
judo rules, but no gi.
Yeah, a no-gi judo division, I would love to do, because I already do that already.
I'm so interested in doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I work with people all the time. Like when I go to catch wrestling or go to some other jiu-jitsu place I go to, I'll work with them with no gi stuff. They're like, hey, Juan, well, how would you do this judo throw without a gi? Like, very easily, under over grip, double under grip, double over grip sometimes. And when I do these throws, they'll be like, I never thought of it that way. That's totally crazy. I never thought of that. Because everyone thinks like, oh, you're going to need to get a head and arm. And it's like, nah, a head and arm is good for judo, but it's not the best for no-gi judo, because the head will slip out so easily.
It would also help judo grow, because when I talk to people who train no-gi in jiu-jitsu, like people who train no-gi more than gi or purely no-gi, the number one reason they tell me is that they're worried about their fingers. They're like, my fingers don't hurt when I train no-gi. When I train gi, I'm afraid of breaking fingers, getting caught, and like just all kinds of stuff. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two is that they hate the whole how sticky and static the gi feels compared to no gi. No gi is more slippery and feels more dynamic to them. And a lot of them are tired of the grip fighting that happens in the gi because of how slippery it is. It feels they feel like they spend more time grip fighting, and that's also a common complaint for beginners. Is like, I can't get in and do my techniques because the guy's out gripping me. So
yeah,
I'm not validating them saying like, oh, just stop grip fighting, but it's a different sport that can attract a different demographic of people, a different rule set, and you want, so
Well, I know with me with no gi, one of my favorite things of why I like doing catch wrestling or when I go to jiu-jitsu classes, I do no gi, is that I feel it's more real. It's much more realer. When I know my technique is gonna, if I get you an
You're
arm
gonna piss off a lot of people saying that.
I know. Well, it's like, unless I'm fighting in the Midwest or something, or I'm fighting winter, like I'm not always gonna have a big jacket on me. You know, I'm not always have a jacket to grab
t-shirt
somebody.
Still works. Shirt still works.
Then I rip the shirt off the guy. Now he's shirtless.
I've thrown someone. When I was younger, people tried to bully me in school when I transferred schools, and I've thrown someone with a t-shirt who only had a t-shirt on before. With
the judo grip, was it a polo shirt or a t-shirt? T-shirt.
It was a t-shirt.
Ah, good shirt then. Very good brand.
So the whole no gi argument only applies if you're like fighting on the beach at the beach.
The beach.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, call me out, Anthony. I've got to fight at the beach all the time.
I actually went to one. I'm not going to name which Gracie, but I went when I was a yellow belt. I went to a Gracie seminar, and all those techniques they showed me. He would say, if you were on the beach with your girlfriend, and you're just chilling on the beach, this is what you would do. Like.
That's what they do in Rio. All they do is hang on the beach all day, sunbathe, hang out.
Start fights, yeah.
Start fights. I didn't say it. Anthony said it. Challenge match, Hollywood Judo, Anthony at any time.
Yeah, let's do it on the beach down here in California.
Santa Monica.
Yeah.
No, but I would love to do some more stuff. And I like how other federations, like I know that Fight to Win was doing judo matches and stuff and doing their own modified rules. And that's kind of cool. But if there's a way that we can do because I know if you go to USA Nationals or go to Summer Nationals or Winter Nationals, or you go to it stuff, it's all who faces that tournament bracket. But USA Judo does keep records of who's number one, who's number two, who's top in a division. And if you can use that, if USA Judo was a sponsor,
good luck.
I know. Pipe dream. If there were a way to sponsor or to hold an event, a judo event, this is so-and-so's number one, so-and-so's number two, kind of like what they did for Japan. Instead of it's not just a tournament, because then tournaments who knows who's going to fight each other, okay? But if you challenge each other and have a match about it, you have the top two guys in each division or top two females in every division, and you make a show of it. You put it on Fight TV or
look at all the buzz surrounding the Abe versus Maruyama match. Not just in Japan,
around the world. Everyone's watching it.
Who train other martial arts or don't train at all, we're talking about it. Hey, I heard this thing's going to go on. What do you think is going to happen? Why is this so talked about? And I'd be like, oh, they're fighting over an Olympic spot. So, I mean, instead of Olympic spot, this is a way to fight over $10,000 or something. It's
why not put some money in the line? Make us prize fighters.
If you start marketing it that way, this is what we mean by judo sucks at marketing. Is if you start marketing things that way, it would help the sport grow. But
you need to just promote stuff more. Do these things. Do these matches. And if you're worried that it's the guy that we want to win is going to win, that's life, man. The best fighter wins. Any given Sunday. Okay. I'm sorry if the guy you didn't want to win, the guy you didn't want to represent the US didn't win. My bad. Okay. He should have fought better than
also a lot of the stuff that we talked about over defensive grips, and also how to your casual audience, what happened in the Maruyama versus Abe match. I think a lot of that grip fighting and defensiveness and passivity would not be an issue in no-gi.
That would definitely no-gi.
Yeah.
No.
So
there's no grip fighting in no-gi.
Yeah. It would definitely.
There's a lot of head slapping in no-gi. There's a lot of neck slapping and head slapping in no-gi.
Yeah, but there would be a lot more dynamic event to watch. Much though. Yeah, I think it would be very interesting.
So I think that'll be amazing. One, if we get USA Judo to do something like that, where it's just the top American players fight each other, make it a pay-per-view show.
I think we have a better chance of advertising here, and say if any of you listeners want to sponsor,
want to sponsor it,
we'll put your name on it. That would be something to do. We just get we get the top fighters. We need to get some sponsors, get a location, at our dojo
backyard. Actually, we can use what they just built in downtown LA. They just built the
Budokan.
Little Tokyo Kodokan, right?
Budokan,
Little Tokyo Budokan. We can held it there. All right. Has a great name. Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting. One way to just spread the word more about judo, because I think that the reason a lot of guys don't want to fight is because, we're kind of set up to fail. Our biggest arsenal is our throws into arm bars,
Mm-hmm.
Our chokes are decent. Our chokes are good and stuff, but we only do arm locks and chokes. We don't do a lot of foot locks. So one of our biggest things is just a pin a guy. And if they add that, add a new dynamic wrinkle to the grappling, and you couldn't just lay there. You can just hold out. But that's just me. That's my opinion.
Someone out there,
you guys think out there.
Someone out there is going to say it's done before and call it sambo or something. But
yeah, it's just sambo. I'm not saying we're shorts. All right. One of the other things that I know, and this is something that Teddy Reiner brought up, is that he felt that outside grappling was too barbaric. That judo's a martial art and she's held to a higher.
Khabib says, judo is class.
Yeah, judo is class up here. Judo's high class. So I know that's why a lot of high level players don't want to do it. But again, he's from France. He's getting paid by his own dojo. He's getting paid by the government, and he's also making
a celebrity there.
So. Making good money, yeah. But here in America, we need to get something for our guys. We need to make something for our guys out here so they can make some money, so that you get more spotlight on judo out there. All right, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Again, I think we mentioned in previous episodes, but I don't believe there's just one way or one thing you need to do. It has to be like a multi-prong approach by different groups of people. There's no way one association can do all these different efforts to market and spread judo. It has to be a group effort from everyone in the community and trying all these different approaches. But yeah, that's a downside of a centralized system that we kind of have here in the United States, where the association decides everything. But yeah. Well,
times are changing. We'll see what happens in the future. All right, Anthony. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm going to go put my weights together on my bench. So,
all right. Well, for me and Anthony, we want to wish everybody a happy holidays, whether you celebrate Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, or Festivus, whatever you like to do. Please be safe out there. Have a Merry Holidays and have a Happy New Year. You can follow me at _Juan. You can follow Anthony at Anthony Throws. You can follow us on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe. Send us an email if you want, and hit us back. Anthony, anything else?
Nope, that's it. Happy holidays.
All right. Happy holidays.